Welcome to the Geeky Grandma with an Encouraging Nudge podcast. Hi, my name is Jill McCarthy from Central New York State, and this is our 58th podcast. And this morning's guest is Fraya Mortensen. And I'm going to read her bio, and then you get to meet this really neat lady. Fraya Mortensen is an intuitive empath, healer, and transformation coach. Highly attuned to the emotions of those around her, she has developed her own enlightened approach to training those who are ready to overcome their inner challenges and move forward to their highest self. With a following of over 500K followers across social media platforms, Fraya has become a leading voice for the masses, offering real and raw advice, personal anecdotes, and comical content to enlighten and educate. By inspiring self-awareness, Fraya practice boosts self-compassion and helps individuals set healthy boundaries without guilt, fear, or judgment. Fraya is known for hosting workshops to serve the community in addition to serving clients in her private practice. Free to be you coaching. Mostly recently, she has been featured in Oprah Daily and is a frequent guest on podcasts like On Call Empath, Authentic Calm, and Empaths and Narcissists. Welcome, Fraya. Glad to have you here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Jill. Thank you.
As you probably have heard me say before, I do a pre-podcast with my guests, and the minute Freya and I got on the call, we just started talking and kept talking. I think we could have talked 3 hours, and I'm not really sure what we would have said, but we would have kept each other busy. So you work with the people that have a little extra sensitivity to them. Is that correct?
Yeah, just a little bit, just a touch.
Just a touch, huh? I'm sure this is her comical side coming out, but, um, just in case, if somebody happens to be new to our channel today, could you kinda define what empath is?
Of course. We have different levels of empathy within us. We all do, right? We all have the capacity to empathize with somebody. And there's a cognitive level of empathy where we can think about what that must feel like. But then there's the actual emotive empathy where we feel what it feels like in our bodies as if it's our own. And so an empath is somebody who feels the emotions of other people, of environments, just about anything. And they feel it physically within their body, like they're living it. And it honestly, Jill, it's very much a trauma response. If I can just be so bold to say that, I think a lot of people have come to realize that people who are struggling with overage of empathy is a trauma response, and so we want to just honor that for what it is. But within the term empath, there's a lot of great qualities, right? There's a lot of positive traits and gifts that come with that.
That absolutely true, and, so some of us, I can remember when I was little and I could feel something in my body, and I would tell, my mom or somebody about it, and they said, you're like, that's in your head. That's psychosomatic. Well, maybe it was, because I was sensing something, and your body, especially if you've been in a trauma response, gets so active and hyper vigilant that you do pick up everything, and that part is indeed a trauma thing. Although there are people that are just plain sensitive, their bodies were born that way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I see you said that you were a healer as well. If a client was in your session, what type of healing work do you do?
we'll do some somatic work, we'll do some working through the body, we'll do like just I love movement. So I offer a lot of movement classes in my coaching practice as well. Getting connected to the body is really important. Inner child work is another very powerful modality that I use. Even just music, okay? Even just music, and teaching people how to connect with themselves, right? So it's a connective healing, connect inward. Yeah,
Right. And if somebody did have trauma work, they could easily get dissociated, which means they're basically kind of like out of their body, and your somatic practices help bring them back into it, and that
exactly.
way get them ways to get them back there if they slide out.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Yep. Um, you said that you got on TikTok for a while and you get some trainings on there and you riled up some people and got a lot of people following you. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Oh my goodness. TikTok was the first platform that I started to create videos on. And this was during the pandemic. So a lot of people were just looking for some outlets and ways to connect with other people. So that's where I started, was on TikTok. And it's just testing it out and trying it out and having fun with it until it started to really blow up, and some of my videos became a little viral after a while, and brought me a lot of followers and that success. So I'm like, okay, we got something here, we really do.
Yeah, the pandemic changed a lot of our lives in different ways. Sometimes it perked something up, sometimes it washed something old out, or a lot of changes, but, we're on this side, and we're a little hopefully wiser for it, and we keep going. Um, how about could you tell us a little bit, how did you find this sensitive part of you? What was is there a story there?
Oof. Oh, I just remember myself as a little girl, and probably like my earliest memory of when I was 4 years old. And I was always the quiet, shy type. I remember reading my report card saying, Freya's very quiet. She needs to speak up more. She needs to participate more. And I'm like, I am in a observation mode here. Okay. And you know, the whole term shy. Oh, she's shy. She's just shy. Anytime someone says that they're shy, like, is that a positive thing? You know?
No, it's
Somebody's
not.
like, get out of
My
here.
report card said the same thing.
Right? Yeah. It's like, what a wonderful shy child you have. Like, why can't we just change the script on that? But I like to change it and say I was a curious observer. Right? I
Uh-huh.
am taking in my environment. I'm observing how other people are behaving, and this was the beginning of me really honing in on understanding human behavior. I love to just watch and observe and see how people act. And that was my thing. I loved it. There was nothing wrong with that. Other people seem to have a problem with it though. Um, right? But
Yeah, they enjoyed that we're quiet and cooperative, but heaven forbid we got another motive on our mind.
yeah, I'm gathering a lot of information about people over here. But no, I love my alone time. I was very sensitive in terms of, small things would make me cry. And again, it would just be seen as something that wasn't good, right? Something's wrong
Yeah.
with you if you're sensitive. So that took a while. That took a while to overcome. And I think what really helped to get me out of that, I guess, seeing it as a problem, was being involved in the arts, being involved in the performing arts
Ah.
as a quiet, shy child. And this is my little story, okay? Here I am in senior kindergarten, and it's probably like day one of school. And I'm asking the teacher if we can have a dance party? Can we have, some music and dancing? And she's like, well, maybe on the last day of school. So by the last day of school, I remembered this.
Oh,
I remembered.
absolutely.
Okay. And I brought my Fisher Price record player. Okay. And I probably
Yep.
had like a Donna Summer record or something like that. And I remember, here I am. You said the last day of school. I probably didn't talk the whole school year. Okay. I was probably the
You were waiting
quietest
for the party.
thing. I was probably the quietest person. But my way of expressing myself was through music and movement and dancing. That's how I expressed myself. So I did have a need for people to want to get to know me. I didn't want to just be seen. I couldn't be seen in a classroom. I needed to show myself in a different way. So yeah, the last day of school came along, and here's Freya with her little record player, and I'm all ready to go. And I just did some rando dance, just making it up, freestyling on the spot. I'm sure my teacher must have just thought I was the weirdest kid, though. And then she just shuts back down and she's quiet again. Like, okay, that's me. Thanks.
Oh, and I just want to stop and talk to our listeners right now. Maybe some of you recognize that. If you've been listening to the Geeky Grandma for a while, you know there's the quiet part, but there's also parts that express in weird ways. And maybe that's you, and maybe you haven't found out yet to found that outlet to express you. It's okay to take that chance. It's okay to be who you are, if it's a singer or a dancer, or if it's a cartoon animationist, whatever they call them, animator. Whatever lights you up is okay, and it's okay to be a quiet observer, because I found those quiet observers can listen to a whole crowd of people, listen to all their comments, sum them up, and present the final answer and throw in a little humor to boot. And because that's what we're good at. And
Mhm.
not everybody's wired this way, but you need us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're serving a purpose over here.
Yes, we are. We may have to kind of rebel rouse a little bit to let the world know it's a purpose, but we're going to do the job anyway.
Yeah, we're doing it before we know what the whole point of it all is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it is amazing, like, you found it out at 4, I was from my kindergarten report card, the same one,
Mm.
and, it took a while till I got safe enough in me to take a chance and get it out there, but we hit that point somewhere, and then as we get older, we learn to cherish this part of us, and to hone in on it and maybe make a career out of it or make a hobby out of it. But we do come to terms with it at some point. Do you remember? And you were talking about that a minute ago.
Coming to terms with it, yeah, I realized that, I'm here to help uplift other people. I'm here to help encourage people. I know you are too, Jill. And a lot of sensitive people, I think that is their mission, right? Is to help uplift and give others that compassion that they're not receiving otherwise. But sometimes what we do is we give it to the wrong people, and then
Ooh.
it's to our own detriment. But because we have such big hearts, that sometimes we don't have that discerning capacity for who we need to give it to and who we don't. So that, that just takes some time in learning and making mistakes.
And sometimes, yeah, the hard way sometimes. I noticed one of the podcasts you were on was about empaths and narcissists. Could you kind of go into that topic? I know that was someone else's podcast, but I'm sure you
Yeah,
can
it
speak
was,
to
and
it.
it's exactly this whole notion of the empath and the narcissist. And honestly, like, I just prefer to, at the end of the day, I just want to let go of these terms. But how we are people who really don't count ourselves, like our needs for some reason are on the back burner, and other people's needs matter more than ours do. And the people who we attract, when you're a giver, you attract takers. And so on
Absolutely.
the opposite side of that spectrum are the people who their needs matter a whole bunch. I'm all about me. And you actually don't matter. I might make you think you do, but you don't. And so we get caught in this trap, we get caught in this web of unhealthy relationships. And the empath, the history, the background of somebody who is high, very high in empathy and a highly sensitive person, they probably had people like this in their lives who conditioned them to believe that you need to tend to my needs. There's also that element of needing to fix people, right? That compassion turns into something that's not healthy, um, in terms of thinking that you can change others' negative
Ooh.
behaviors.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Uh huh. So we really got to start to just take personal responsibility for ourselves. And at the end of the day, a lot of us are hanging on to a victim mentality that we were done wrong, that we were, and there's, I'm sure a lot of us have a history of things that we were subjected to, that we didn't have any control over. But there comes a point in time when we do, know what we are in control of, and that is how and who we give our energy to, and knowing the difference between somebody who's good for us and somebody who's not good for us. But there's just this whole pattern of behavior of those people who aren't good for us. We want to make them better. And we just don't have that power to do so. And it's exhausting and draining. And it leaves us very depleted and feeling victimized as a result.
And it never was our job to do.
No, no.
We thought we could take care of the whole world, but it just wasn't so.
But everyone will have the same story of going through that, and you have to get to the other side. You have to have that contrast, right? You have to experience the one side before you can come out on the other.
And as compassionate as we are, we need to learn how to give that compassion to ourselves. And that is that's a difficult journey. As hard as strange as that might seem, that's hard for us. And we need to learn that we are worth receiving.
100%. I
Just
just
for being
Yeah.
us, we don't have to earn it. We don't have to anything. We just have to receive it.
I just had a session with a client earlier, and we were talking about this compassion element and how we are so eager to offer compassion to other people, but then we don't do it for ourselves. So the shift happens when you learn how to give yourself compassion. And that takes some time because you have to overcome some shame and some guilt and judgment to get there. But then once you are giving yourself compassion, the compassion you give to others, that changes. That takes a whole different level of compassion because now it's genuine. You're not doing it out of obligation or coming from that place of fear. You're offering it from a genuine place, an authentic place.
Wow. And it's a rich, rich journey. It really is. Right from the very beginning, being labeled shy, but really being the observer, to learning how to give it to yourself and to begin to receive it. And that's it. Some of us, it's been a life's journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas that you want to do in the future, or any goals that you haven't we haven't
Oh,
shared yet?
oh my goodness, Jill. Well, the goals are always they're always presenting themselves, and I'm going to be 47 in a few days, and I feel like I've accomplished a lot so far. And so the goal now is to just be in the moment, live more in the now. Because I know when I live in the now, opportunities present themselves. Goals, are accomplished on their own without so much effort. The resistance, the wall of resistance comes down when you're living in the now. And that's my goal now, is to be in the now, to live more in this moment. That that in itself is is my goal. I know it sounds a little bit out there and maybe too
No,
simplistic, but
I think, well, first of all, happy early birthday. And, you're right on schedule because that's at this point, somewhere between 40s and 50s, you go through that point where you learn as much as you loved your parents, they didn't have all the answers. Some of the answers they gave weren't even accurate. And you've started to create your own world, your own family, your own career, and you kind of got that rolling. And so you can start to use what you've learned to go forward with the rest of your life. And if you can live in the moment, you're getting as much as possible out of that moment. I can remember I have 4 grown sons, and at their wedding is so many months of planning and preparation and making sure, whatever was their responsibility or whatever was yours, but somebody had to get a band and somebody had to get a place for the reception and a person to perform and all of those and the clothes and all of that. There's a lot of preparation down into that one day. And that one day you are so in the moment that it's like it's a whole nother world. And then you've really lived every ounce of it in that one day.
yeah,
And I don't and it's funny because I'm a person that might have rolled out things over and over and in my head. I didn't need to roll that over. I had been there. I had put all there was into that day, and now it's complete. I didn't miss any of it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what being in the moment is like, and,
Totally. Because when you get to this age, you've put in a lot of work to get here, right?
you did, sure
Put in a
did.
lot of effort. We all have, like, to make it to where we are today. I mean, we should be proud of that we're here. Wow,
We probably
you're still doing what you need to do to stay around. Good job,
stay around. Yeah, you've probably been through a hospital visit or 2 or at least the ER and
right?
yeah,
So yeah, no, but honestly, it's just being present, being honest with myself, being authentic. These goals just become a little bit different as you get older.
right. You just read my mind. That was the next word I was gonna ask you about, as I saw you had authenticity down in some of your write-up here. So explain a little what that means and how do you go about it?
Yeah, well, I'm coaching a lot of people who are people pleasers, who are those givers, and who are those people who don't offer them self compassion the way they offer others. And what I've noticed in the work that I've been doing is that people who don't put themselves first and who are being what other people want them to be are therefore not being themselves. And over time of just tending to other people's needs over your own, what ends up happening is you lose a sense of your own self. You lose a sense of who you are, what you're here for, what your purpose is. Your purpose is not to please others. This is not what we're here for. Um, you lose a sense of authenticity. And so coming back to yourself, that can be really daunting. It's like, oh my gosh, I've just spent how many decades of living for other people and doing what society, even just living for society and their expectations. What do I really want? What's really important to me? What do I value? What do I love? What brings me joy? And that can be a journey in itself for a lot of people. So I
Right.
love coaching people to reach those new realizations about themselves. I love being able to bring people to face who they really are. And sometimes before you can get there, you got to face the shadow part of yourself. You got
Ah,
to face
yes.
those, you got to, clear that guy away first and be like, all right, let's have a conversation with you that's been getting in my own way of being myself. And that can take some time, right? But that's part of the process. And I think that for people who want to reach that true level, I just want to be me. That's why my coaching practice is called Free to Be You. You're allowed to be you. We want you. We want to see the real you. That's what you're here for. Um, but part of that process involves facing some of those parts of us that we don't want to admit to, that, oh, maybe I'm a little controlling in this area. Maybe I do have some insecurities in this area. um, I need to learn how to embrace these things so that I can move to the next step, because that's really what holds people back a lot of the time from being authentic, is having to face their shadow first. That's part of the path. But yeah, once you get there, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you feel the weight's been lifted. You're like, oh my goodness, I feel lighter. And the world is your oyster.
Huh. Wow. And the name of that group again is?
My coaching practice is called Free to Be You. Free to Be You coaching.
Very good. And, it's been a joy, talking with you. I see many similarities, and it's fun to watch how you express it, and uh, is there if you were to speak to my audience right now, you got them. This is Geeky Grandma with the encouraging nudge.
Hmm.
What nudge would you give somebody out there that might need to hear what you have to say?
You're no different than I am. I'm no better than you. We're all here on an equal playing ground. There's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you're not capable of. There's nothing that you can't overcome. Um, just go for it. Just go for it. If there's something that you're scared of, just go right to it. Just go right to that fear. Face it head on. You'll surprise yourself. You really will. Just have some faith in yourself to overcome whatever it is, and be that person to show up for yourself during that process, because sometimes when no one else is there for us, we got to be that person. We got to be that person. So I give you that encouragement, and I know that Jill also is wonderful at giving you that encouragement. So finding those people who uplift you and encourage you, and want to see you at your best, want to see you succeed. Find those people to support you on your path.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I found you or ran into you along the way, and so glad to have you as our guest. And I just want to say bye bye for now.
Bye for now.
See you in the funny papers. Bye bye for now.